Before the pyramids, before Rome, there was Sri Lanka. Not the Lanka we know today, but a floating citadel of gold and fire, ruled by a man or a god who had 10 heads, 20 arms, and a mind beyond human. His name was Ravana, and this is the story they didn't teach you in school. To some, he was a monster. To others, a misunderstood genius, the greatest king to ever live. So, who was Ravana really? Was he a tyrant who kidnapped a goddess? Or a philosopher king erased by history? Because once we open this door, we'll descend through ancient Lanka, walk through cursed palaces, decode cosmic weapons, and uncover secrets still whispered across India and Sri Lanka today. But to understand the king, first, we need to understand the world he ruled. Long before skyscrapers and satellites, there were cities carved into mountain spines, with corridors of crystal, ceilings of fire. They called it Lanka, not built by humans, but by Ravana's celestial architects, the Mayas. Legends say Lanka was built in perfect geometry, floating above the sea, with aerial routes mapped to the stars. It had underground libraries, energy channels, and weapons hidden beneath waterfalls. This was no ordinary kingdom. It was a cosmic war base. And what happens when a king who commands such a kingdom falls in love with the wrong woman? The abduction of Sitta wasn't just a love story. It was a spark that lit the deadliest war the world had ever seen. Sitta, wife of Rama, daughter of the earth, a goddess in human form. Some say Ravana saw her as a prize. Others say he fell in love. The Ramayana tells us Ravana kidnapped Sitta while Rama was distracted. But the Sri Lankan texts, they claim Sitta was taken to Ashoka Vatika, not as a prisoner, but protected, guarded, given a garden, not a cell. So was she kidnapped or saved? Witnesses describe Ravana never once touched her, never forced her. He simply waited, trying to change her heart. But Rama was no ordinary man. He was Vishnu incarnate. And what followed was not a rescue mission. It was Armageddon. Because Ravana wasn't fighting just a man. He was fighting a god. If you're still with us, you already know this isn't just mythology. It's a forgotten history. Hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started uncovering what the textbooks left out. The skies darkened, the oceans split, and 2 titans prepared for war. Rama, divine archer, led by destiny. Ravana, king of demons, driven by honor. The war wasn't fought by men. It was fought by gods, avatars, Vinaras, creatures of fire and wind. Hanuman, son of the wind god, crossed oceans in a single leap. Lakshmana battled Indrajit, Ravana's son, who could become invisible, summon snakes, and even defeat death temporarily. And Ravana? He entered the battlefield in a chariot, said to be blessed by Shiva himself, wielding weapons that could crack mountains. This was no fairy tale. It was a war of annihilation. And every time Ravana fell, he stood back up, one head cut off. Another roared in its place. But behind his rage was a secret, one even Rama didn't expect. They called him a demon, but Ravana was also a scholar, a devotee of Shiva, a composer of hymns, a master of the Vedas. He invented musical instruments. He wrote treatises on medicine and alchemy. His palace was said to contain the Pushpaka Vimana, a flying machine capable of traveling between worlds. He didn't just conquer kingdoms. He mastered the sciences of heaven and hell. Some believe he was preparing for something bigger, a celestial alignment, a gateway, and that Rama's arrival interrupted it. But even gods can't win without a cost, because to defeat Ravana, Rama would have to break every rule. The final battle lasted 7 days. The skies rained fire. Lanka burned. Ravana stood alone. In the end, it wasn't strength that killed him. It was a weapon forged by the gods, the Brahmastra. One arrow, one prayer, one destiny. But in his death, Ravana didn't scream. He bowed, because even demons know when truth arrives. But here's where history breaks apart, because what happened after Ravana's death is even stranger. The war ended, Rama returned home. Sita walked through fire to prove her purity. But what happened to Ravana's kingdom? They say Lanka was cursed after Ravana's death. The floating citadel fell. Its golden towers turned to dust. His libraries? Burned. His knowledge? Lost. His children, warriors like Indrajit, vanished from the record. Only whispers remained, stone carvings, ruins no one can date. But what if not everything was destroyed? What if parts of Ravana's legacy still survive? Because deep in the jungles of Sri Lanka, something was found. In 2016, archaeologists near Ella, Sri Lanka, uncovered strange chambers beneath the earth. Tunnels too advanced for their time. Stone too hard to have been carved with Iron Age tools. Then came the maps. Old, forbidden scrolls showing a symmetrical city layout, one that matched descriptions of Ravana's Lanka. But here's the problem. These maps predate all known Sri Lankan kingdoms. And then there's the Pushpaka Vimana. Some say what we call mythology is just history, waiting to be remembered. And maybe Ravana didn't just fall. Maybe he left, through the skies. In some versions of the Ramayana, Ravana never truly dies. He's said to have ascended, body and soul, into another plane. Texts from Southeast Asia refer to a Ravana who returned as a star. Others say his consciousness entered a golden cube, a device still hidden beneath the earth. Ancient astronaut theorists, they say he was taken by the gods or by beings even older than them. And if that's true, then somewhere out there, Ravana still watches, waiting, listening. But who was Ravana really? A villain? A visionary? Or the most powerful man history tried to erase? For thousands of years, Ravana has been branded a villain, a demon, a kidnapper, a tyrant. But history, real history, is never that simple. In parts of India, Ravana is worshipped. In Sri Lanka, he is remembered as a great king, one who built roads, treated the sick, and advanced science beyond his age. Some even say he was never meant to be the villain. Rama and Ravana may not have been good versus evil, but two cosmic forces in balance. What if Ravana was right, and history simply chose the louder storyteller? Because in the ashes of war, the truth isn't written, it's buried. In 2022, a team of researchers in Sri Lanka discovered an unusual magnetic anomaly near Ravana's cave, a real place near Ella. They found charred stones with inscriptions in a language no one could translate. Radiocarbon dating, over 5,000 years old, older than the Vedic texts, older than any known civilization in the region. The writing matched no known script, except faintly a description in a lost section of the Ramayana, of Ravana's final message. Some believe it was a warning. Others say it was a blueprint. So if Ravana was real, and he left something behind, what happens when we find it? They say no king dies until his story ends. And Ravana's story still echoes in temples, in caves, in the thunder over the mountains of Lanka. Maybe Ravana wasn't just a myth. Maybe he was the first and last emperor of a forgotten world. A world with flying machines, healing stones, star maps written in bone. And maybe, just maybe, he's coming back. So next time you hear thunder over the jungle, listen closely, because the roar of Ravana never really stopped. Some stories fade, others echo forever. If this journey into Ravana's truth moved you, subscribe, because the next story might change how you see the past.